How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So for those who are new, I'm Lawrence, a street and urban cityscape photographer based here in Singapore. So for today's video, we are talking about the Trinity zoom lens and if you should get it. Let's find out. So for those who are new to photography or have no idea what I'm talking about, this is the Trinity zoom lens. The 1635, 2470 and the 7200. And these zoom lenses are available across brands like Nikon and Canon. And in my case, I'm using the Sony G Master zooms, which is their Pro lineup with the fixed f2.8 aperture. And of course, the brands that I mentioned, they have the f4 versions as well. So the reason why photographers, including myself, get the Trinity zoom lens is being able to photograph so many different styles and genre of photography. So the 1635, it's the widest at 16mm, means I can get all the wide architectural and landscape photos. Then this guy right here, the 7200, gives me all the telephoto goodness from places that's almost near impossible to get to physically. So where does that leave the 2470? Glad you asked. So the 2470 is kind of like my point A to B lens, meaning if I'm traveling between places, those moments I see in between destinations, this 2470 is the lens I'll use to get those shots. So can you imagine, let's say if I have the 1635 on my lens from point A to B, and let's say if I see something that I want to shoot, only to realize that it's going to be so far away. So by the time I swap lenses, that moment might already be gone. Or worse, carrying this 7200 mounted on my camera from one place to another in a super crowded place or a public transport. Okay, that is a bit of an extreme example, but you guys get the idea. So coming back to my point on the Trinity zoom lens, it's kind of like the Swiss Army knife equivalent in photography terms, the kit that does it all. So of course we have the other side of the crowd who swears by prime lens, and I kind of understand why. So prime lens does indeed has its advantages. And because prime lens are fixed focal length, so in general they are smaller in size and weight as compared to zoom lens. And also because you cannot change focal length, so in a way it forces you to work the scene to get creative in terms of composition. And prime lens generally have wider aperture like f1.8, 1.4, 1.2. So in a way prime lenses are better for low light or night photography. But what sets zoom lens apart is the focal range it offers. So zoom lens is potentially equivalent to 3 prime lenses in my opinion. So for the 1635, for example, the prime lens that's available within that focal range, you have the 14mm prime lens, which is pretty close to the widest for the 1635. Then within this focal range, we have the 20mm, 24 and 35. But that's just the brand that I'm using, so I can't say for sure for the other brands. Just a disclaimer, I completed my own set of Trinity lenses over the years. So for you viewers out there who are just hobbyists, enthusiasts or prosumers, if this video has convinced you to get your own set of Trinity lens, then of course you don't have to buy all 3 lenses at once. But let's say of course if you have the cash, then go for it. But let's say if you're on a budget and you can't justify spending all that cash on all 3 lenses, do consider the following instead. So there's going to be third-party lenses option like Tamron or Sigma, and these brands usually are cheaper than the native lens. But do keep in mind that the difference in price usually means that there's going to be some sort of compromise somewhere. So it could be build quality, autofocus, or image quality. So do your research before making that decision. But what if you still can't justify getting all 3 lenses regardless of brands due to budget, space constraints, whatever the reason? So my suggestion is going to be get the 1635 and the 7200 instead. And the reason is that you still won't miss out on those wide angle shots in tight spaces, and you still have the telephoto option to give you the extra reach if needed. But what if you could only get just one lens instead? Then my recommendation is going to be the 2470mm lens. So the 2470 is kind of like the standard focal length for zoom, and 24mm you still could get away with most of the wide angle shots, and if you zoom in all the way to 70, it's still considered a telephoto focal length. Okay, so that's all I have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. So will you be getting the Trinity zoom lens? If not, what's going to be your alternative? So let me know in the comment section down below. So as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's going to help this channel in the long run. So until the next video, get out there, make the best of every opportunity you're given. Peace.